Hey everybody, it's me, your friendly neighborhood Uncle Pete. I'm back with my series, Nails in a Coffin, where we learned that with great kills, there must also come great nails. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel. It's a brand new year, so if you are new here, you can read what Nails in a Coffin is all about in the section down below, because these videos really aren't film reviews, rather a breakdown of the kills, and I evaluate how well that victim responded to their attack using my signature Nails in a Coffin rating system. Today, we're going to take a deep dive into Wes Craven's The Hills Have Eyes, a brutal masterpiece of terror where a family on a road trip, they take a deadly detour and, their survival instincts are put to the ultimate test. So we're going to break down how well those victims responded to their nightmarish attacks. So did they rise to the challenge or did they hammer their own coffin shut? Let's go find out. First kill doesn't happen until about 35 minutes into the movie. We gotta wait a little bit. So, it's Fred who works at the gas station. Big Bob just got back there asking for help for his family's current predicament where they're stranded. The old man tells Big Bob that there's something he should know about. Fred tells him how his wife gave birth to something that wasn't quite right, and how all these weird occurrences would happen whenever that child was around. But before he can actually finish the entire story, all of a sudden Papa Jupiter breaks through the window, drags Fred outside, and then he beats Fred to death with a tire iron. Fred receives a first set of nails, and he earned himself 1.5 nails in a coffin. He was grabbed through a window, and he was screaming and kicking the entire time. But when Jupiter had him on the ground, I feel like he really didn't even try not to defend himself. He never used his arms to even try and cover up or do much of anything. His arms were free and Papa Jupiter was dragging him by the feet, and he never at least tried to cover up his head before being hit with a tire iron. He was just forgot he had arms, which tends to happen a lot in movies. So it was a surprise attack, which is why I'm not going to give him 1 nail, but you're going to have to try harder if you want to get better than 1.5 nails in the coffin. Now, after seeing this, Bob wisely nopes the hell out of there, sprinting through the desolate terrain, and he pauses to catch his breath, only to hear Jupiter's menacing voice echoing in the distance. So he forces himself to run again, but his body does betray him with exhaustion taking over, and Bob stumbles down to the ground. He fires blindly into a bush where the taunting voice is originating from, but Papa Jupiter emerges, effortlessly just disarming him and calling out to Pluto, signaling that their sinister plans are nearly complete. Bob is our next victim, and a few minutes later, we witness Papa Jupiter shoving a rag into Bob's mouth, then nailing the patriarch to a makeshift cross. It's now the middle of the night, and Bobby is telling Doug and Lynn about him finding that Beauty was actually killed, a secret he was keeping most of the day. Suddenly, there's an explosion in the distance, and there's a tree on fire, and you can hear Big Bob screaming. Doug grabs a fire extinguisher, not knowing Brenda is currently being held by Pluto with a knife to her throat. The family rushes to the fire, only to see Bob being burned alive, so they put the fire out and get him out of the tree, but Bob does pass away a few moments later from his injuries. And I'm going to award Big Bob with 2 nails in a coffin. If he didn't take the shortcut at the start of the movie, none of this would have happened to him and his family. I feel that shortcuts through a desert area is not the smartest thing to do. He did run when he saw Fred being attacked and killed, and he had a weapon on him, but it was his age and his health that caught up to him, and that I can't fault him for. He did better than most people in slashers, but I do feel like taking that shortcut is what stopped him from receiving more nails, but I still got to give the patriarch credit, which is why he gets a solid 2 nails in the coffin. While Doug was tending to Bob, Ethel and Lynn returned to the RV, seeing Pluto jump out of it and run off. Hearing the baby cry, Lynn runs inside and she's come to Fred Mars, who has the young child. She attacks him, kneeing him in the crotch. Ethel gets in and starts hitting Mars with the broom, but he was able to get a shot off with his pistol, hitting her in the stomach. Brenda pushes Pluto's knife over to Lynn, which is on the ground. She grabs it right as Mars shoots her in the gut. But she's able to stab Mars right in the thigh with the knife, but then he shoots her a second time, actually killing her. Lynn was played by the always wonderful Dee Wallace, and she earned herself 3 nails in the coffin. She didn't hesitate when confronted by Mars, who had the baby. She attacked him right away, fighting to save the child. She didn't stop fighting. When Ethel got in the RV, she told her to get away. Love that. She was shot in the stomach after grabbing a knife, but she still was able to stab Mars in the leg. She probably could have survived that first shot. So these are the type of kills I love covering on this channel. Seeing a victim actually fight and not freeze and do nothing. Plus, it's Dee Wallace, and I love her to death. But Lynn did excellent, better than most people in slashers. So she's going to earn herself a very respectable 3 nails in the coffin. Hearing the shots, Doug and Bobby sprint back to the RV, but before they can get there, Pluto runs off with the baby, and Mars, he actually tries to kill Brenda, but he's out of bullets, and he runs off into the night right before Doug and Bobby arrive. Short while later, we see Mercury on top of a cliff talking with Mars and Pluto over the radio. Little does he know that the family dog Beast is behind him. He wants revenge for Beauty, who was killed earlier. So the good boy runs at Mercury, knocks him off the cliff, setting the hill person to his death. As soon as we meet Mercury, he was killed, so I'm only going to give him 1.5 nails in a coffin. I don't feel that it was smart to stand next to a cliff in the middle of the night. That's just me. Also, I have dogs, and I've been jumped on by them, but I've never been pushed back that hard. So, yeah, it was just a bunch of silliness from him, and I think a little bit more self-awareness actually could have prevented his death, but I don't expect much from him, so the best he's going to get is 1.5 nails. Ethel is next to pass away. She was shot earlier by Mars right before he killed Lynn, and she dies in her sleep overnight. Ethel, she's getting 2.5 nails in a coffin. You know, she died in her sleep from a gunshot wound to the stomach. From what I understand, very painful place to get shot. You know, it's a slow death. But she took that bullet trying to help Lynn save the baby. And that was brave as hell. She was an elderly woman, so all she could really do was hit the guy with the broom. But at least she did more than most victims in horror movies. She fought. She didn't freeze up. She didn't just stand there and scream. She did exceptionally well for someone her age. So, yeah, really liked her here. So, the matriarch is going to go with 2.5 nails in the coffin. Doug is now with Beast, and they're at Papa Jupiter's camp to get Doug's baby back. Doug tells Beast to go and get him. Beast runs off towards the camp, chasing after Papa Jupiter and Pluto. He does catch up to Pluto and attacks, tearing a chunk out of his leg. But he does run off when Jupiter comes back, firing a pistol at the good doggy. Short while later, Pluto is looking through some bushes for Beast, and he gets spooked by a rabbit and has a short laugh about it. But while he's enjoying that moment, Beast attacks again, this time tearing into Pluto's neck, ripping open, making sure this hill person dies very painfully. I'm going to give Pluto only 1 nail in a coffin. He knew Beast was close by him, so why would you let your guard down to laugh about a rabbit? He knew an angry, large German Shepherd who was bloodthirsty was right by him, and he just chose to forget about that to laugh at something stupid. And for that, he paid the price for having no self-awareness, so he's only going to get that stupid 1 nail in the coffin. Right now, Doug has the baby and Ruby, and they're running away from Mars. Doug gets cornered while Ruby hides the baby. However, Mars hears the baby's cries and goes to get it. Doug's not having this, and he runs after Mars, and they both get into a fight trying to kill the other person. Ruby does pick up a venomous snake, and she brings it over to Mars, having it bite him on the back of the neck. Doug uses his opportunity to get Mars's knife and stab him until he is completely dead. Mars is going to get 1.5 nails in a coffin. He goes back for the baby when he should have tried to take care of Bobby first. Then he should have gone for Ruby and the baby. Would have been a lot easier. This is your typical horror movie trope where the villain makes a dumb decision that costs them their life. He still fought though, thus avoiding 1 nail in a coffin, but he didn't do much better where I can give him any more than 1.5 nails. He just squeaks by getting that extra half a nail. Bobby and Brenda set up a trap in the RV to get Papa Jupiter. The plan is to blow it up with propane when Jupiter opens the door. He's by the door, but he's cautious and he knows something is up. Then we see Bobby and Brenda watching as the RV explodes. Thinking their ordeal is over, Bobby and Brenda start to celebrate. But Bobby, he runs back to the burning RV to make sure Jupiter's dead. Wise decision. Bobby's by the car, Papa Jupiter attacks. Brenda screams, picks up a hatchet, and sprints over to save her brother. Jupiter body slams Bobby, but then Brenda gets there in time to slam the hatchet into Jupiter's back, thus giving Bobby time to shoot the N-Bret leader twice with his gun, killing the scumbag. Jupiter gets the final set of nails, and he's going to be bestowed upon with 2 nails in a coffin. Now, believe it or not, he did show signs of intelligence by not opening the door to the RV and blowing himself up. I mean, all he really did was probably smell the propane, so I'm not going to give him too much credit. You know, if he wasn't so hell-bent on killing Bobby and Brenda, he probably could have survived. But it's a typical case where the villain has a huge ego, but he did do better than all of the rest of his family members, and he was their leader. So he wasn't too stupid. I'm not going to give him too much credit. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. Those are all my nails in a coffin for Wes Craven's The Hills Have Eyes. Here's a summary of all the nails I've awarded. Here's the average nails in a coffin, which is 1.81 nails, which is on par for most horror movies I've covered, maybe just a little bit higher. But I think I handed out some fair ratings. One of the standouts definitely was Lynn, earning 3 nails in a coffin. She was going to protect her baby and family at all costs. And after being shot, she was still a fighter, which is why she definitely got the most amount of nails for this movie. And of course, it was Dee Wallace, and how could you not love Dee Wallace? Thanks for watching, everybody. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. You know the usual. Help me grow this channel for 2025. I'll see you here in 2 weeks when I cover The Hills Have Eyes Part 2. So stay tuned to see how those victims in this movie compare to the original. It is good being back on Nails in a Coffin. Took some weeks off, been working, holidays and stuff. So hopefully I get back into the swing of things for these videos. Appreciate all your continued support. Thank you very much. So until next time, take care, stay safe, be good to yourselves, and be good to each other. I am your friendly neighborhood Uncle Pete. And remember, with great kills, there must also come great nails.